Welcome back, you wonderful wanderers, to our new I Played a Thing, Dewprism, or as it's known in the West, Threads of Fate. Why Threads of Fate? Mint. Absolutely one of the best characters in JRPG history. Oh my god, I cannot wait to spend more time with her. She's fantastic. If Boss Goji were an RPG protagonist, she'd be Mint. Oh yeah, and there's another protagonist in the game, but I wouldn't worry about him too much. So, Dewprism is a Squaresoft title for the PlayStation 1, released in Japan in 1999 and in the West in 2000. Squaresoft definitely knew their way around the system at the time, and boy does it look amazing. It was written by Daisuke Watanabe, who would go on to write for all of Square's big franchises, Final Fantasy X, 12, and the 13 sequels, as well as all the Kingdom Hearts games. Junya Nakano contributed the wonderful ambient soundtrack, having previously worked on a number of arcade and console titles, such as Mystic Warriors, as LP'd by An and Goji, and Tobal No. 1, and who would go on to contribute music to Final Fantasy X and other Square titles. The game's director was Koji Sugimoto, a Squaresoft programmer who would step into the director's role for this game only. He went on to program for the Final Fantasy X series. While this game isn't one of Square's most popular titles, it has been re-released several times on various platforms such as PSN. That's not so surprising. It's well designed, really well animated, and full of charm. And it features Mint! But before we get to Mint, let's deal with Rue, the other protagonist. You could well argue, though I wouldn't, that Rue is the lead and Mint is the joke character. This may have been the team's intentions, but their execution ended up quite different. Rue isn't a bad character per se. He's your standard stoic amnesiac protagonist who does grow and warm up by the end of his adventure. He's just been done before. A lot. He lacks spark and vitality, and he gets a little creepy at the end. Okay, let's just get Rue over with. You see the length of this video. We're doing all of Rue right here, right now. So mysterious boy Rue is living with this girl named Claire who took him in to help hunt deer or such for dinner. Then this Dark Knight dude with a giant arm flies in to kill him? But Claire steps in and gets killed instead. No! 3 years later, Rue travels to Corona Village to hunt for a relic MacGuffin which can supposedly grant wishes, in order to bring Claire back to life and make everything all better. He hears from two local thugs rumors of what is the MacGuffin hidden somewhere nearby. They think it's in the forest, it's not. After stopping in Corona Village, Rue follows the thugs into the forest and, oh yeah, Rue's gimmick is that he can turn into any of the monsters he defeats. Some are better than others. The bog standard Poliwag is a good combo actually. Also, some of the monsters can use magic, which Rue can't use in his own form. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Anyway, Rue finds the thugs hassling a girl for food, and since this is one of those games that changes booze to milk and fruit juice, who knows what they were doing in the Japanese version. So Rue turns into a Poliwag to draw the thugs away from her, and beats them up. The combat is fairly easy and enjoyable, although you don't get a block until the final boss encounter. Rue trounces Beavis and Butthead, and figures Elena is the girl he heard about looking for her parents in the woods. We find them soon, thankfully, and Elena tells them she thinks Rue is a Poliwag, a joke that, ha ha, never gets old. Rue learns that her dad Klaus is looking for the MacGuffin too. He's on the trail for a magician's atelier that has a clue about the MacGuffin's location. Rue finds the atelier, beats a boss, and inside he meets Mint, who is also looking for the MacGuffin. She trips and runs off. Klaus finds a diary belonging to the magician who lived there. And back at home, we learn that the ancient people who made the MacGuffin, the Aeons, sealed it so no one could use it by just finding it. Apparently, some other magician named Elroy had made some progress in figuring out how to unseal it. So it's off to another atelier. Whee! Oh, and Mint comes along because she's awesome. They go through a long dungeon with all sorts of platforming, fight another boss, and find the atelier. Inside, he finds a box. This is important. And a tiara. This isn't. Outside, he meets the treasure-hunting Mistress Belle and her very silly servant Duke, who are also after the MacGuffin. So Duke gets his ninja on, but gets his ass handed to him. Yeah, but Belle steals the tiara because we need more MacGuffins. And Rue beats the dragon one more time before he goes home. Klaus then announces he knows where the MacGuffin is, in an old ruin in a lake nearby. Magician Elroy was going to use the cube to break the seal there. He has no idea how to use the cube though, but he knows a local magician who does. Another awesome character, Fancy Mel. She lives in the forest and her domain is cute. So adorably cute. Her minigames, though, are less than fun. They are actually pretty annoying. Yeah. Thankfully, Mel is not. Mel is the best wizard ever, and that's beating out Shentoda. Sorry. Rue asks for help, but nope. The MacGuffin is too dangerous. She reveals that there are many MacGuffins, but Rue is looking for Valen's MacGuffin. Valen will be the final boss later. Mel tells him, who knows what will happen if the seal is broken. Worst case, it might destroy the world, but Rue is all, I don't care. Stoic and stupid, and it'll take a whole lot of coincidences to make his arc justified. Mel does relent and agrees to study the cube if Rue finds one of her pommel pearls, the dwarves who make the minigames. So... yeah... Hi, Duke. So the thugs have the pearl. Rue beats them up again. One of them almost says shit in a children's video game. Mel thanks him, but Rue's all business. She gives him a report to take back to Klaus. Then, she drops a bomb on him. She senses that, instead of one spirit, he has two. This will be stupid later. He admits to his backstory. After waking up in a deserted crypt, he angsted over being an amnesiac, until the day he ran into Claire. Then the Dark Knight dude killed her, and we were sad. So very, very, very sad. That's why Rue has two spirits in him. And then, Tone Whiplash. On the way home from Mel's, Rue and Elena run into Duke again. As a star. They have a fight. Triangle wins. Triangle man. Meanwhile, in another game, the villains banter about Rue being on track to find the MacGuffin. Back at the house, Klaus uses Mel's report to open the box and finds inside another character. Kind of annoying, but not turned on yet. Another doll. Rue is a doll too, if you haven't guessed yet. This Prima doll can unseal the MacGuffin, but he's powered down now until he's adorned with more MacGuffins! So Rue goes off to the ghost temple to find things, because they're there. Oh, and Elena follows him in. She follows him around and then gets kidnapped, because what else do you expect? But he saves her, and he gets his little MacGuffins by fighting a bunch of these guys. But Duke finishes the last one. They're at an impasse until Rue beats him up, and then Elena heals him. That makes everything hunky-dory. So, with the last mini MacGuffins at hand, they turn on Prima Doll. Who is missing two other mini MacGuffins. The main one is an amulet made from a material called Phantomite. A certain Wylaf can hook him up. Oh, and Wylaf's a dragon. So, it's off to Raging Mountain. And a lot more dodgy platforming. And then Belle shows up with her floating mecha. So Rue trounces her butt. And she skedaddles. Finally, we face Wylaf. And he... Yeah, we have another fight. Yeah. But then Rue gets the Phantomite. All green and glowy. Meanwhile, Mint makes a deal with Belle and Duke for the tiara they stole earlier. Ornstein and Smough also challenge Rue to another face-off. But it's their boss, Trapmaster, who Rue ends up fighting. A shame that he's a pushover too. So Rue dumps the Phantomite with Klaus so that he can make the amulet for Prima Doll. And then Mint arrives with the tiara that Belle and Duke had stolen. Prima Doll is restored. But he goofs around and drains the last of his power. He's running on 200-year-old D-cells or something. Anyhow, it's back to Fancy Mel's for us. She has a solution, but we're not gonna like it. Her cat bats have a brother and he can make with the zaps. You see where this is going. Oh, and this is Gorotan. So Prima Doll is shocked to full power and is raring to unseal that MacGuffin for us. Klaus thinks it's a good idea to go bond with the kid, but first, we need to have a silly scene with Elena and Mint. Then when Rue brings Prima Doll out there, Prima starts to worry about his future after he opens the seal. Rue offers some words of comfort and cheers Prima up. Nice bit of characterization in a work that lacks a lot of it. So Prima gets his amulet, and they're ready to break the seal. What could possibly go wrong? Well, they'll need a boat. So, we meet a dude. And we fight a dude. And dude, do we get a sweet-ass ride to the lake ruins. Prima gets his unseal magic on, and yup, you guessed it, all the bad dudes and their princess show up to stop him. For their own good, of course. Rue is naturally his own obstinate self. I mean, he gets really unsufferable by the end. So it turns out that Princess Maya has her own MacGuffin called the Book of Cosmos. It messes Rue up pretty bad, and he almost goes all Super Saiyan on these clowns. But Dollmaster drops a spell on him that seals Rue's own powers. Dollmaster then seizes Prima Doll and demands he open the seal to Valen's MacGuffin, even though he told Rue not to unseal it 30 seconds before. Anyhow. Prima petrifies himself rather than unseal the MacGuffin. Mint and Belle drop in on their robot and save Rue, because Mint is awesome. Princess Maya orders them not to pursue, and instead walls up Valen's MacGuffin with her own, to protect it better. No idea why she couldn't have done that in the first place, but... Over dinner, Belle explains Mint's opportunistic and short-sighted tendencies. But Mint rightly points out that she saved everybody's butt today. Meanwhile, in another game, the villains ask Princess Maya, "Say, it's not fair that you have a MacGuffin and we don't. Can we unseal Valen's, please?" And she's like, "No, that would be wrong." And they're all like, "Well, we're gonna take it anyway." So Rue wakes up and hears a voice. And out the window, there's Claire. And he's all, "This is fucked up, guys." So he chases her around town for a while, which is boring, until he finally sees her going into the church. And nothing ominous about that. And in the church, there's Psychomaster, who's good at mind games. But he's vulnerable to backstabs, so one more boss down. And he's all, "You want to save her? Come back to that big-ass tower Princess Maya put up, and we're totally not going to use you to get Valen's MacGuffin." So, yup. Hook, line, and sinker. And Trapmaster speaks for us all. So Rue goes up the tower avoiding flying bunnies and pumpkins. I cannot stress this enough. Flying, bunnies, and pumpkins. And then at the top, voila! It's Decoy Octopus. And then Dollmaster shows up to rub it in. Rue goes Saiyan again, which is exactly what Dollmaster wants. And then there's the big revelation that, yeah, Dollmaster killed Claire. Infused with rage, Rue has a big battle that he's supposed to lose. Of course. Princess Maya walks in at the end, and it's totally not what it looks like, Princess. But Doll Master's like Obama in his last term. He just doesn't care. Psycho Master takes Maya's MacGuffin and Doll Master binds Rue again and orders him to destroy it. This will make sense, I swear. So Rue wakes up and he and Maya are in space. Maya says they should see Antinatius, this MacGuffin's creator who is still inside his own creation. He is literally fused to his own book. Then he freaks out when he sees Rue. Calling him Valen's servant. He thinks Rue intends to resurrect Valen and acquire, dun dun dun, the Dewprism. Yes, the MacGuffin we've been chasing all along is the Dewprism. Bet you didn't see that coming. Anyhow, Rue beats up Antinatius, who crumbles but isn't dead. But then Doll Master shows up and steals his power because, you know, evil. And because, well, I'll let him explain. So, yeah, Rue and Doll Master are Valen's get-out-of-jail-free cards. Yeah, okay, enough of that. Stakes raised. Join me, and we will rule the galaxy together. Never. Well, I don't need you. I can totally resurrect Valen myself. Boom! Look at this cool set piece we did. Oh no, Valen's fortress has returned to this plane of existence. But I'll never give up! I'll overcome all obstacles! With the power of my friends, I can achieve anything! Just have to get to Valen's fortress, even if I have to fly. See? Fancy Mill agrees. And Rue just happens to know a dragon. So, back to Raging Mountain. Rue meets Trapmaster again. And kicks his butt again. And meets Modemaster again. And kicks her butt. Well, his own butt, technically. But who cares, because Rue is friends with the dragon. And that dragon lets Rue turn into him to reach the fortress. Her. Even Belle and Duke are pretty shocked about it. Nice fourth wall break there, Duke. So Rue turns into a dragon, says goodbye to folks, and finds Prima Doll up there, unpetrified and ashamed at having opened the portal. Rue continues onto this huge-ass dungeon that goes on way longer than it needs to, and I'm not kidding, folks. The puzzle-solving parts aren't that bad, but the rest of it is just, eh. At the end, we fight Psycho Master again. It's pretty much the same fight we had last time, except he has a new grab move. But we beat him, and he surrenders. So Rue heads off to a boss rush stage, and the less said about that, the better. Really. But at last, he catches up with Dollmaster, who's working on bringing back the boss. Dollmaster reveals his final form and drops the mic to make it all final, and they're off. Dollmaster guards against Rue's initial salvo. Rue gets behind him and flattens him. And again, but Dollmaster's ready for him that time. Dollmaster's got him in a lock, but no, Rue gets away. Rue stunlocks him and it's over! Game's done, folks! Well, not really. They have a nice brotherly conversation, and Dollmaster laments that he couldn't break his conditioning. Rue doesn't say a lot that's supportive, but, well, he's Rue. Rue sallies forth and finds the Dewprism. At last. And he finds Valen. And he addresses his creator as only Rue can. Valen commends him for coming here. So he lets Rue bring Claire back with Rue's head thingy. And then he takes over Claire's body. It turns out that Rue's wish to bring back Claire was just part of his programming. Whoops. Rue's not having any of this, but Valen makes a monster to beat Rue up. Rue can kill the monster, but Valen will just bring it back. The real target is Valen, and for once, Rue has no problem with hitting someone dressed up as Claire. Rue finally beats Valen out of Claire's body. However, Valen still has root access to Rue, and is just about to destroy him. That's when Dollmaster shows up and does his noble sacrifice thing. Which is great, except that Valen kills him. But Valen's spirit starts to fade away, so he somehow, and this is the game contradicting itself here, commands the Dewprism to give him the form of Final Boss. And he makes this beautiful arena with shadows and everything. The trick to this fight is that you can't hurt him until he unleashes his weak spot, which is only in his flying form. He's a pain, but here, and only here at the end, the game gives you a block button. You had 2 attack buttons before. They just turn one into a block button and don't even mention it in-game. Anyhow, the trick is to block his shots, and then when he's done, hit his weak spot. Rinse and repeat. No. So yeah, Valen takes his ball and goes home. Rue grabs Claire and hustles the hell out of there. He's accosted by monsters, but Mint comes and saves his sorry ass. He gives her the bad news about the Dewprism, and she, well... On their way out, load-bearing boss. And Rue is sealed inside. Mint goes to her ride to try to get Rue some help, but, that ain't cool, Rod. Rue feels awful that he's trapped with Claire, but he swears to stay with her until the end. But Psycho Master shows up. And teleports them away. And Valen's fortress blows up. Rue wakes up, cured by Fancy Mel. Apparently he was out for 3 days. Rue is, of course, single-minded, but Mel does not have good news for him. With all her magics, there's nothing she can do for Claire. Valen must have messed up her head so bad, she might never— I'm just kidding with you, she's fine! And we've dragged this out as long as we can. Things get creepy for a while. But then Claire thanks him. And he goes, aw shucks, everything's all better. The end. There, I just saved you 8 hours and 43 minutes. And I hope you didn't remember any of that, because we're gonna do it all over again starting next episode. Only as Mint this time, one of the best characters in JRPGs. Join me then, won't you?